Hey, citizens of Fanboy Nation, I'm RC Samo, Editor-in-Chief. You've just now received dual citizenship because we're doing double duty with Fangirl Nation at the Batman Bad Blood Red Carpet West Coast premiere at the Pele Center in Beverly Hills, California. Here you are with this like soft English accent, like you just Australian. Okay. Then you can stay. You can stay. It's okay.
We could do Russian though.
What's that?
Shall we do Russian?
No. Keep the Aussie accent.
Interview?
Yeah. Keep the Aussie accent. It's better.
Okay.
More people will understand it.
Okay.
So Yvonne, you get to play Kate Kane. Batwoman.
Yes.
And this is her first incarnation in any of the DC animated features.
Yes.
How did it feel to take on such a role and such a prominent, strong female character?
I underestimated the amount of pressure that surrounds something like this. I'm just being honest. I went into this very excited because this is, as you said, the first time they've animated her, and how exciting to be able to voice it. So I think once we got to New York last week and premiered this in New York, I realized that there was an incredible amount of expectation on her. So hopefully people enjoy what we've done with this.
You don't have a face for animation, so what made you want to be behind the mic instead of typically in front of the camera?
It's not necessarily something that I sought out. I feel like just because of the projects that I've been involved in as an actress, then certain other things have come my way in terms of animation, like Batman Bad Blood, or certain, in the past, video games and other sorts of animations. So it's really something that that's come to me and I've embraced because it is something that's great to be a part of, and it's a great little family.
Now, why do you Aussies play Americans better than Americans?
I don't know about that, but we try.
You're succeeding so far.
So far, hopefully. I've fooled some people, hopefully.
Now, have you read any of the comics, prepping for this, or just the script and then wikiing her background?
For me, the most important thing about finding Batwoman was this particular script, because it's the first and only one in the series of these animations. So I really rely heavily on the director and the people behind this to give me the tone. Obviously, the script I read, and I really let the script feed or help me figure out how I'm going to create the voice, and obviously she is written as a super fierce, sassy troubled person also, where we touch on her family history in this. We see her romantic side as well, so there's a lot to play with. So it's given me a lot to do in the booth with this one.
And you had the funniest line in the movie.
Which one?
Batwing, would you like to ride in the Batwing?
Oh, okay. You like that line?
That was pretty funny. I thought it was funny.
All right, yeah. She's got some good one-liners.
She's got some great one-liners.
Yeah.
But I think that was the ultimate jab to the ribs.
Yeah? I thought my favorite is Your Mom's Got Game. I love that one.
Yeah, that was a good one too. That was, definitely. Yeah. Now, being an Australian playing an American who's a strong female character and a strong female that played her, what would you want from younger female fans, say 13, 14, 15, to take away from this movie? Hopefully this is the beginning in more portrayals like this. I love that she's a fleshed out character in this. She's. I was going to say she's only human, but she's not really. She's she's a superhero as well. But you know what I mean. She's got those human elements. She represents strength, but at the same time she owns her history, and no apologies, and she moves forward with her mission and whatever it is that she wants to achieve. Excellent. Yvonne, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Pleasure meeting you.
Too.
And Batman Bad Blood comes out on DVD February 2nd.
Now in a Russian accent.
Now we are with Gaius Charles, a.k.a. Luke Fox.
A.k.a. Batwing.
Yeah. I'm sorry, my favorite line in the movie was when Batwoman looked out and said, "Hey, Batwing, do you want to get in the Batwing?" I don't know, it was a cheesy line, but I lost it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Now, you play Ernie Hudson's son in this film.
Sure, I play Lucius Fox's son, yeah.
you know, and you get to work with Jason and Jay and everybody else. How does it feel to take on, you know, one of the newest superheroes, and especially a person of color, since we don't get to see that much, especially in the comic book world in the past 80 years?
Yeah. Well, it was a great honor to bring life to this character. I mean, we've seen him a lot in the comic book so far, and this is the first time we're seeing him on screen. So to play this amazing superhero who just happens to be African American was really awesome. And again, it was a real honor to bring life to the character.
Now, what stuck out when you got the script that says, I'm going, you know, were you ever a Batman fan growing up?
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I was like, growing up, it was like, you're either in the Batman camp or the Superman camp. And I was like, you know, Batman down to the socks, so to speak. You know, I love Batman. I watched the old TV show from the 60s with Adam West and all that. Then Batman the Animated Series and Batman Beyond. And so, you know, to play a Batman character was just amazing.
You're in the family now.
Yeah,
so
Bat family.
You know, how do you bring it to your friends like, you know what, I'm going to be with Batman, or I'm one of the Batman family now?
Yeah, you know, it's amazing. Like, you know, folks are already like really excited. I get like, you know, people on Twitter and stuff like, oh my gosh, you know, so it's pretty cool.
Now, you got the script. Obviously, it's a strong character. You know, who was the first person you told? You're like, this is it.
In terms of playing the character?
Playing the character, just being in an animated feature?
Yeah, you know, I really just kind of didn't even focus on all that. I just kind of really wanted to focus on getting this, you know, character right. And so for me, it was kind of going back and doing the research, like I said, looking at the comic books, really, you know, looking at the character, kind of figuring out, okay, what are his needs, you know, what are his wants, what are his challenges, what's his relationship with his father, what is his relationship with Wayne Enterprises Batman, you know, Bruce Wayne and all that, and really just try to make it, you know, breathe life into it and make it real. So, you know, that was my focus.
Now, did you pull anything from your own relationship with your dad sitting there? Because the relationship between Luke and Lucius, are going back and forth. Now I'm gonna get like a ton of hate tweets for saying Lucius instead of or Lucas instead of Lucius. Yeah, we make mistakes from time to time.
You can you know, go again. Right. No, I think the storyline is going to be very relatable to a ton of people. I think, you know, particularly like, you know, there's a Luke Fox storyline, but then there's also like the Batwoman storyline. I think what's really cool is that for generations, people have been able to relate to Batman in some kind of way, but now there are even more characters, younger characters, older characters, characters from all kinds of diverse backgrounds that people can see themselves in. So, you know, I think that's what, you know, I was drawn to, and I think that's what the audience is going to be drawn to.
Now, what do you want young African-American teens that are going to watch this and sit there and go, hey, there's a black guy that's doing this as well. Sure. You know, what do you want them to take away from this?
I want them to take away from it that it's a great story. I want them to take away from it that, you know, that black superheroes are, you know, amazing superheroes to be fans of and to support, and that, you know, their image is being represented in comic books and being represented on screen, and, you know, that they can, you know, become actors, they can become, you know, folks who are animators, they can become, you know, successful in the comic book world as well. So hopefully it'll inspire them and everyone else.
And now what's next for you? Are you going to do more animation or some live action stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to do some more animation. I can't really announce it yet, but I have done. I know that's how
Jay's doing it to us too.
I know, it's like I mean, you'll see. So I am involved in another comic book franchise project, I can say, which I think the fans will like, and yeah, some exciting stuff coming up.
Perfect. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
You know,
yeah.
We're excited.
Yeah.
We are at the Paley Center for the red carpet West Coast premiere of Batman: Bad Blood. James, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great.
You know, now the part of the story is a take on Battle of the Cowl, where Dick Grayson becomes Batman. You know, how did you incorporate that into this story, and then decided to make it your own by bringing in Batwing and then Damian kind of being Radish?
Well, we kind of just took our cues from those runs of Batman and Robin by Grant Morrison, and we liked the dynamic of Damian and Dick Grayson and how they inverted the who was the badass and who wasn't. So we kind of took that as our template for how to handle them. And then we just made it our own because we knew we couldn't literally adapt that run. But I definitely was adamant about getting that kind of dynamic in one of our movies. This is mainly a Batman family movie, and I wanted to expose characters who people normally don't see in these movies. So Batwoman had never been in any movie, and neither had Batwing, and they're all fairly new characters. And I thought they were interesting, and I thought it was a spin on the Batman family no one had seen. And then we follow it up with Batgirl coming in at the very end. So, kind of
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Sorry.
It's all right. Now, the comic hasn't shied away from Kate Kane being a lesbian, and it was nice that you incorporated it into the story. Was that always planned, or had there been some pullback because some people still think animation is this kid's medium?
On our part, there was no pullback. When I said I wanted to use her, no one had an issue with it. So, and it's 2016. There shouldn't be an issue. And I think her character's been well handled in the books. She doesn't lead with her sexuality. It's just another component of who Kate is as a person. It's not we could have done it without mentioning it, but why not,
Of course. Now, what was your favorite scene? Since you're the producer, so you know what got left on the cutting room floor and what got in. So what's your favorite scene that was left on the cutting room floor, and what's your favorite scene that made the final cut?
Well, as far as cutting room floor, there was a little more, antagonism between Damian and Batwoman at first. And for various reasons, I was like, that feels a little negative to me. They're actually kindred spirits of a sort, so if anything, they would start liking each other a little sooner. It felt kind of false to me. So through our process of editing, we do a lot of passes on things. That got lessened a little bit, but not too much. But yeah, definitely, that was probably my favorite part.
And the one that made it in, what was your favorite?
It's still in there. It's just not as there were just a few scenes around it that made it a little more, unpleasant for lack of a better word.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And now one of our favorite lines was Batwoman telling Batwing, "Hey Batwing, would you like to ride in the Batwing?" Were there any other pun jokes like that made it in, or that you wanted in?
Well, no, actually, that joke got put in after the fact. So a lot of the jokes did, actually. The nunges joke. A lot of things happen, and that's part of my position as producer is, everyone is kind of a cook in this. The writer, the storyboard artist, the directors, and they're throwing stuff into a pot. And the producer is kind of like the guy who stirs the pot. And if he thinks it needs a little salt, he throws in a little salt. So that line was a little salt. So.
And it's great that the director walks around, but Batman walks right through.
There you go.
Thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the film. It was a great one.
Thank you.
We are here with Batman himself, Jason O'Mara. Jason,
Yeah.
you were a terrible father in this movie.
I am not great. Yeah. But, you can't be a great father when you're not around. And Batman's not around for a lot of this movie.
This is true, but you sent a 9-year-old over to the Himalayas to study with Tibetan monks.
He was just going to get into trouble if he didn't do that. He needed to focus some of those skills that he was developing. Yeah.
Anger management, essentially.
Yeah, anger management, but also, learning how to focus all that energy, which could have been used for a lot more destructive ends.
Like his mother, for example. Talia is not the best mother figure in this film either.
Or his grandfather, right. Ra's al Ghul, yeah. So, I think Batman's doing his best considering the hand he's been dealt with this one. Yeah.
And now the Heretic makes an appearance.
Yeah.
So it's essentially Damian's brother in a sense, even though it's a clone of him or an aged clone.
Yeah.
A la Boba Fett in Star Wars.
Yeah.
So what would that do if Batman finds out that his clone son is now an adult in his age?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's what's going to be interesting, I don't know.
That's set for the next film?
I honestly, I haven't even read a script, but I think it could go that way, couldn't it? I mean, I think that's worth exploring. And it's certainly, what is clear is that the writers are trying to develop stories that have this, that are about this unit, this group of people. I mean, a family, for want of a better word, and whenever there's a connection, a family connection, they want to keep exploring that dynamic. So, it wouldn't be beyond the realms of imagination.
Now, what do you think softens Batman's heart in letting Katie become a part of the family and Luke become a part of the family, at the end of the film? Because he was all about family and just him, the ward, his own biological son, being the Bat family, and now we've incorporated more characters into this.
Well, I mean, I don't want to give away any spoilers now, but I think he's realized that there is power. Probably the same way he's realized it with the Justice League, that there's power when they work together as a team. And I think in a way you could read into it that it's never explicitly mentioned, but you could read into it that Batman is feeling pretty vulnerable, not just for his own safety, but also as a father. I think he sees Damian as being someone with all the skills and power that he has, as being someone who is very vulnerable himself. And I think he feels the more of a team he has around him, maybe the more he can, protect Damian.
Now, speaking of Justice League, the next film coming out is Justice League versus Teen Titans.
Yeah.
How does Batman play a role in this aspect, coming into another team setting that he wasn't quite prepared for beforehand, and now has to deal with not only that, but dealing with demons and having to face off against his own son?
You will have to wait and see.
No spoilers, no little hints?
I can't. I'm not allowed to talk about it. But it's going to be just as cool.
It looks great. We saw the preview on the DVD, so it looks good. Jason, thank you so very much.
Everyone's
been pronouncing your name differently up and down the line, so we got to make sure.
Yeah.
Director of Batman Bad Blood. This is your 8th one, and 9 is in the can.
Yes.
So that one's Justice League versus Teen Titans.
No, I didn't do.
Oh, you didn't do that?
No.
Okay.
The next one we haven't announced it yet.
Okay. We can't get a little sneak.
No, but it's cool. It's very cool. So.
Yeah. So you're on fire with all this stuff. Like, you're the definitive DC director at this point.
I don't know if I'm definitive. I'm just more like a line cook. I'm just on rotation, so I just get whatever they say. Hey, we have this movie, and it's nice to get paid and have a steady gig.
And you get to work in cartoons, which is great, which most people don't get to.
Yes, definitely.
Now, this story incorporates quite a bit from Batman Incorporated, from Battle of the Cowl, and all sorts of different other aspects. How did you pick and choose which ones were going to go into this particular film?
That's more James's thing. James, is a producer. Him and the writers worked together to kind of come up with the premise, and then they pitch it to DC and Home Video to see how they feel about it. And then from there, they then craft the script. By the time I get involved, it's usually after about the first draft is done. Then James and I talk about it, and we can then I make suggestions about things that I like, what I don't like, how I want to do certain things. But for the most part, James is involved for most of the story process.
Now, there's obviously some scenes that, animation you can do that you can't do in cinema. What were some of the things that you enjoyed most about this particular project and this incarnation of Damian and Batman interacting?
The nice thing is that, we can put children in danger. Damian gets in a lot of bullets at him, ninjas attacking him. Well, the nice thing is that we can kind of push the story that we started with Son of Batman further. I mean, this is technically the 3rd episode in this, very long story. So, I know fans want to see all these other characters, but I'm like, well, this is just episode 3. Just see where we're going to go. This is a good way of us introducing, the Bat family, or at least an early version of the Bat family before we can introduce later characters. Hopefully this will help branch off to other DTVs that we can do. Like, I'd love to do a Batwoman and Wonder Woman storyline. That would be great.
That would be fantastic.
So there's a lot of things that I think is fun about this film, because then, we introduce new characters. We have a little Easter egg at the end of another character. And I think it's a nice transitional film, and it's just fun in the sense that it's Batman, but it's a little different. And it's nice the fact to see Batman supporting characters now step into the forefront and become the main characters in this movie.
Well, we talked last time about how we want a Nightwing film, and this seems very Nightwing centric, so that's great for the rest of us that want a Nightwing.
Oh yeah, I mean, that was one of the things when I read the script, I'm like, oh great, Nightwing finally has, his time in the limelight. Because I know on Batman vs. Robin, everyone's like, well, there needs to be more Nightwing, and I was like, hold on, I was just working on this.
He's coming. It's
coming. And so when, Nightwing gets his due, because basically this is Nightwing's movie, and I like that, the fact that you see Nightwing, who, if you look at it, Son of Batman, who only had a supporting character, had a small role, and Batman vs. Robin, he had a much bigger role, but then now this is basically his film to kind of step in and kind of show that he is the prodigy of Bruce Wayne, and kind of, if Bruce could never put on the cowl, he would then probably step up and be the next Batman.
Which makes perfect sense, and that's something everyone's always wanted to see.
Yeah, totally. And plus, we borrow a little bit from the comics, and so we get to do a lot of different storylines that we cherry pick from, the comic continuity and make it work with our continuity. Yeah.
Now, you said the dream project would be Batwoman and Wonder Woman.
Oh, that would be cool, yeah.
What about Nightwing getting his own spin-off with his own title?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that would be great. I'd love to do just a Nightwing storyline. Again, it all depends on how these things sell. Like, the home video and the marketing will all look at, like, what the fans are responding to, what they like, and then we usually base our pitches based upon what people like, No,
it makes perfect sense. Now, being the director of this film, there has to be one animated scene that sticks out, like, this is my moment in the film that you love more than anything. Which scene is that?
Oh God, there's a lot of them. I think for myself, there's a sequence where Batwoman is fighting at the end that I did myself because I had we cut from the different characters and different supporting characters in the Bat family, and they're all fighting their kind of the different villain. But there's one where Batwoman is fighting another villain. I don't want to spoil it, but I did that myself because I wanted to. There's a certain way that I saw it, and I really wanted to kind of really play that up. So that one I had the most fun with.
Now, was it you or James that decided not to make Heretic more like Master Blaster from Mad Max Thunderdome?
I think that was more of a combination of James and Phil Barassa. They were coming up with the character designs and the look. I just knew that I had to make him kind of badass to be like this a good kind of antagonist for our protagonist, and so. I tried to find ways so that his fighting style is a little bit more raw, a little bit more visceral. But in terms of not being Master Blast, that would be more James and Phil.
Perfect. Jay, thank you so very much.
Oh, thank you so
Can't
much.
wait for this to come out on Tuesday and the next one that you can't tell us yet.
Yeah, I can't tell you yet. Next year.
Next year?
Yeah, next
All
year.
right, so 2017, we got that far. We are with Sean Maher, the voice of Nightwing, the original Robin in Batman Bad Blood.
Yeah.
How does it feel to take on Nightwing for a second time?
It's actually a third time.
Third time, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you should be sorry.
I will. The first one was... See, now you don't remember. Now you can't give me grief.
Son of Batman.
Right.
Batman versus Robin. And now this.
Okay.
So this was the most fun I've had in my thrice times attempting Nightwing.
Well, essentially, you're the star of this one.
Of course. I don't know. I mean, Nightwing has a lot to do. I mean, I think he's sort of inadvertently asked to step up and become the patriarch of the family, and whether or not he wants to do it, he really steps up to the plate, and it was a lot of fun. I think just given all of the dynamics of, there's some moments of it that are hysterical and some moments that are incredibly touching, and the action in this movie I think is the most fun I've seen.
And the whole duty and honor versus being your own person, essentially.
Yes.
Are some of the elements that go into this.
Yes. I gotta don the suit. Yeah.
Whether you want to or not, you gotta take over the family business.
Whether I want to or not, I gotta do it.
Now, since this being your third time being Nightwing, of the three, you said this was obviously the one that you had the most to do with.
Yeah.
But there has to be some scene, some part of the script in any one of them that just stuck out and said, yes, this is the moment.
It's funny. There's a lot of moments that when we're recording them, excuse me, when we're in the booth recording them, I'm not really thinking about a bigger picture. I'm just really sort of like doing my best to tell, the present moment of the story in the best that I can. But I think some of my favorite moments, without giving too much away, are between Nightwing and Damian, and when Nightwing is donning the suit and being
those are some really fun
being called out, which I don't hear that when I'm recording. I'm just doing my half of it, and so.
So it wasn't a group ADR setting, it was yourself and the
No,
booth.
we all do everything by ourselves. I mean, I just met Yvonne like a couple weeks ago, and I know Jason and I know Stuart, but we all do everything alone, which is really tricky. And then sometimes it's there are pros to it, because you just kind of just get to run your line until they find what they want you know, and they're so amazing behind the glass. They know exactly which way to steer. It's the only time in my career that I have welcomed a line reading, you know, especially when it comes to like the grunting and the punching and the, you know, this, because voiceover is so new to me. So.
Well, you make it sound easy behind the mic, and you make us look bad in front of the camera. So, Sean, thank you so very much. Yeah. Pleasure meeting you. Stuart Allan, this is your second time going around as Robin, Damian Wayne, in the Batman Family series. You know, you're not that bratty this time. How does it feel to actually be written as a more likable character?
I miss being the bratty character. Well, I mean, I obviously like to see Damian grow in his character and become a more, you know, somewhat of a little mini Batman figure as he starts to learn justice, not vengeance, and begins to morph into the Batman family. You know, but then again, you still kind of miss a little bit of the old Damian occasionally because, you know, like the funny parts of him. Yeah. I mean, of course, he's still funny, you know.
You know, he still has a bit of that Ra's al Ghul in him, you know, because that struggle of vengeance and justice going back and forth, and we see it throughout this film, which was a great movie, and we enjoyed it quite a bit. You know, how did it feel like, you know, you got to work with Travis, who plays an older version of you?
Yes.
You know, in a sense, and then Batwoman and Jason and everybody else. What was the feel going around the second time with Jay and Travis as your director and co-star?
Going around the second time, it definitely was a lot easier to kind of go into the character. I mean, I always felt. How should I put this? Repeat the question one more time. I'm sorry.
I said, how did it feel going the second time around working with Jason and Jay, you know, and being Robin again?
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, I always felt that I always look for improvement in my characters. I always, my motto is you can always improve. There is never any boundaries. There's no such thing. There's no perfection. There's always something you can improve on. So, I mean, obviously, it's a lot easier to go around the second time as well, Robin and Damian. But I mean, you know, I still, I always look for improvement, and I always try to see what I can put myself into Damian. Like, I identify with him with my martial arts skills. You know, I'm a black belt candidate in Taekwondo, and
Batman walks right in front of the shot yet again.
Hello. My father's always stealing the show. Mr. Jason. All right, sure. But yeah, I mean, I identify with him with martial arts and my bad attitude in the mornings. I'm not exactly an early bird, but and also I know that Damian doesn't take any dance lessons, but he's sure dancing around those machine gun bullets pretty dang well. I think there's some hip hop going on right there.
Now, what type of martial arts do you study?
I study Taekwondo. Yeah, I study Taekwondo, and I also do some weapons too. Like I do staff, I do nunchucks, and I do a little bit of sword as well. Yeah.
Now, I know you'll never say how close you are personally to Damian in real life, but what would your sister say?
My sister says that my sister is a little bit of good and bad. She's every time that I do something that she does not like, she calls me, you know, bad Damian. But I mean, whenever I try to, you know, help her out with something, she says, "Good Damian, that's my little Batman's boy."
Stuart, thank you so very much. Great meeting you. Travis Willingham plays the Heretic.
That's right.
Great name.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, I picked it myself. No.
You know, it's good to see somebody of proper height, you know, that I don't have to slouch for.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, physically imposing. They drew him after me, all the muscles.
Right.
They were like, take your shirt off.
Right.
I then lost all the muscles.
Well, Hulk, Thor.
That's right.
Superman.
You can't be expected to keep that physique all the time. Right.
You know, you have to have an off season.
Yeah. You got to give it a rest. You got to give the machine a break every once in a while.
Now, you've been doing this for quite a while. Your wife's been doing this quite a while. Mm-hmm. You guys still messing with the dogs, I assume, throwing voices at them.
Absolutely. In fact, we very rarely speak to ourselves in our house in our normal voices. Yeah, that's too boring.
Right. I would assume so.
Yeah. It keeps it interesting. It's always like a new person in the house.
Now, fill us in on the Heretic and how, you know, seeing this character, realizing that it's Damian aged 25 years.
Right.
You know, what kind of mentality that has to put you in, because we saw also in Young Justice how they aged Superboy rather quickly, and he was 16 in a matter of a couple of weeks.
That's true. You know, when I heard it was the Heretic, I was like, oh my God, I love the name. It sounds super familiar. And even though I keep a decent tab on what's going on in the comics, I wasn't familiar with who it was. Hopped on the interwebs, looked it up, and you know, the first image that comes up is like a giant suit of armor with a little baby head. Right. You're like, oh, this is an interesting choice.
Right, you're playing Master Blaster.
Yeah, totally. I'm like, I'm going to prepare myself for this. Giant mech suit, baby head. Not that.
Right.
Different interpretation, very cool. Very tall, bigger than bad, super imposing, wearing the cowl though. You know, one note, dispassionate. very neutral in his delivery, which is almost more unnerving. And as our director Jay Oliva said, he was like, he's one of the characters that presents more questions than we have answers for about him. He said, oh, I love that. You know.
And now that there's 27 of them that they've cloned, you have an array of voices to pick for each one.
I felt like asking, like, if you check behind his left ear, is there a number stenciled there? You know, like, do we know which iteration it is? But
like Hitman.
Crossover happening.
There you go.
Maybe.
You know. Well, you've already been Thor and Superman and everybody else. So.
Right. Well, you got to work on the villain side every once in a while, else your life is not in balance.
I still crack up watching Lego Batman.
Yeah.
As Superman throws him up in the air, creates the back signal with the whole "Cheer up, Buttercup."
Sourpuss. Cheer up, Sourpuss. What does he say? I can't remember. It's so good. Troy's actually back there too.
And then you and Travis play off each other very well, anyway.
Yeah. So, I mean, Troy and I are best friends. Sorry. No. Troy and I are best friends, and you know that was more fun than you should be allowed to have in a professional setting.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and then Chris being the Joker and everything else.
Yeah, the whole cast is just incredible.
I would have loved to set it.
Yeah, my wife Laura is Wonder Woman. She's amazing. Yeah, it was really great.
Yeah. So, what spoilers can you give us about this film, since nobody else is talking?
Right. The Heretic speaks like 9 different languages. He's an expert sous chef, and he is an expert at making leather-crafted boots. Not many people know that, but if you look in the film, some really great Easter eggs.
You know, cobbling is a lost art these days.
It's underrated. You got to love your neighborhood cobbler. Show him some love.
Travis, thank you so very much. Always great seeing you, man.
Cheers, brother.